If we were African, brought from Africa, then riddle me this. How did we know what roots to boil, what bark to strip, what leaf to chew, to heal our people, before there were textbooks, before there were hospitals, before they even called us African American? We were already healing, with the land's own language. This isn't Africa's soil. These are the woods of Georgia, the swamps of Mississippi, the red clay of Alabama. And yet, we knew. We knew that wild cherry bark soothes coughs, that poke root draws out infection, that mullein clears the lungs. That's not accidental. That's ancestral. Our grandmothers never called themselves doctors. They didn't hang signs or wear stethoscopes. But when fever hit and doctors wouldn't come, it was their hands that people trusted. Their kitchens became clinics, their porches, waiting rooms, and their medicine, rooted not in certificates, but in memory. Every family had someone like that. A woman who knew what tree to find in the middle of a cold snap and spoke quiet prayers over boiling pots. She didn't need a textbook because her knowledge came from generations who lived off this land, long before it was fenced, sold, or renamed. When fever showed up in the house, the old remedies came out. Onions went in socks to pull the heat down, vinegar rags wrapped around ankles, menthol rubbed on the chest until it tingled, a mustard plaster warmed on the stove, and the room smelled like eucalyptus, vinegar, and faith. If the cough held on, they mixed honey, lemon, and just a drop of turpentine. And if that didn't work, they reached for the tonic, thick, bitter, and strong enough to knock the sickness out and knock the child out with it. Rest was part of the cure. Some families kept a jar of hot toddy at the back of the stove. Whiskey, honey, clove, lemon. Set it, burned the cold clean out. Nobody called it clinical. Nobody called it science. But it worked, because healing didn't come in a bottle. It came through memory, passed down, handed over, trusted, and the body always remembered. They used wild cherry bark, steeped thick for coughing fits that rattled the ribs. Sweet gum sap, chewed raw or boiled into tea, was given for fever and flu. Mullein was burned, smoked, or steeped to clear the lungs. When swelling struck, they reached for poke root, mashed and tied into poultices that drew the sickness out. We didn't need hospitals to know that pine needle tea reduced fever, that yellow dock and dandelion cleansed the blood, that salt pork, soaked in turpentine, laid across a tight chest, could break the grip of pneumonia. These weren't fairy tales. They weren't folklore. They were survival. In the soil we were never supposed to own, but always belonged to. These weren't African remedies carried in pockets across oceans. They were here. They had always been here. So how could we be foreign? Foreigners don't pass down remedies in teaspoons and mason jars. Foreigners don't plant medicine beside collard greens. They don't know which tree bleeds healing. They don't teach their daughters which root burns too hot unless you cut it right. We weren't given this knowledge. We were rooted in it. And even when they tried to erase us, reclassify us, rename us, redline us, we still remembered. Because the land remembered us too, and we built on that memory. From those kitchens, from those backwoods gardens, came the foundation for a new kind of brilliance. We didn't just heal, we turned knowledge passed down by midwives and root women into instruments of science, into tools of progress, into systems and technologies that saved millions. Because when the world finally opened its doors, we stepped in, carrying generations of medicine in our blood. Dr. Charles Drew transformed how blood was stored, creating modern blood banks. He didn't just invent something new. He perfected what our people always understood, the power of what flows through us. Dr. Daniel Hale Williams performed the first successful open-heart surgery in America, not in a university hospital, but in a black hospital he helped create. Dr. Patricia Bath changed how we restore vision, inventing the laser phaco probe and leading the way in community eye care. Dr. Marilyn Gaston broke ground in sickle cell research, targeting the disease that haunted our families the most. Otis Boykin's circuits advanced pacemakers. Dr. Alexa Kennedy became the first black female neurosurgeon in America. Dr. James West's microphone made modern hearing aids possible. Dr. Jane Cook Wright revolutionized chemotherapy using human tissue testing. And Dr. Jesse Russell helped shape digital cellular technology. Now, the backbone of mobile health alerts, monitors, and telemedicine tools used by millions every day. We didn't arrive to science empty-handed. We walked into laboratories with centuries of knowledge wrapped in us. What began with molasses, tonics, became clinical research. What started with a pine needle tea became biomedical innovation. The line from rootwork to robotics is not broken. It is braided. We were never just subjects of medicine. We have always been its authors. So let no one tell you that we began in chains. Our story didn't start in the belly of a ship. It started in the earth, long before borders were drawn and flags were planted. We were healing before we were labeled. We were inventing before we were included. We were building before we were allowed to be seen. Our grandmothers didn't need a license to save lives. Our grandfathers didn't need a degree to understand anatomy. And our generation doesn't need permission to reclaim what was always ours. We were never disconnected from this land. We were of it. And even now, as our people lead hospitals, create patents, build life-saving tools, and reimagine medicine from within, it was about never forgetting who we are and what we've always known. We didn't arrive here. And the land? It never stopped answering when we called it by name. So now that you know the truth, what will you do with it? If this story stirred something in you, if it reminded you of your grandmother's hands, your auntie's remedies, your uncle's stubborn healing ways, then don't let the memory stop here. Like the video if this knowledge runs through your blood. Share it if you've seen this story in your own family. Comment below with the remedy you remember, the tea, the root, the ritual they used when medicine wasn't an option. And most of all, subscribe if you believe it's time we told our own story, the whole story. Because we didn't just survive history, we shaped it, we healed it, and we're still doing it today. This is our legacy, this is our medicine, and this is just the beginning.